Hey Robo-Buddies. So today I want to talk to you guys about the first book in the Uglies series by Scott Westerfield. Now I was actually super excited to begin this series. So many people have said that if you love The Hunger Games and if you love Divergent, you will love the Uglies series. And I didn't. In fact, I was extremely disappointed with the way the series is going. I've read the first and second books so far, and even though I'm planning on continuing the series, it isn't that great. Elle Fowler, who I get most of my dystopian young adult fiction book recommendations from here on YouTube, hasn't done a literature series about these books, and I always wondered why. You know, has she read these books and she just doesn't enjoy them enough to make literatures? And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But I'm going to make videos about these books just so that you guys know what kind of dystopian young adult fiction is out there, and maybe you guys will enjoy these books better than I'm enjoying them. So basically, The Uglies is about this girl named Tally, who lives in a society where at the age of 16, you get this surgery to make you become pretty. And so what the government does is they take everything that they view as wrong about your appearance and alter it to make you perfect. So if your eyes are too tiny, they make them bigger. Or if your lips are too small, they make them plumper. Or they whiten your teeth and straighten them and make your nose smaller, make your hair perfect, so that you look like a model. And everybody who is over the age of 16 has this surgery so that they look drop dead gorgeous. And so Tally is super excited to get this surgery because her best friend Paris, I believe is how you pronounce it might be Perez, he got the surgery 3 months prior, and so now he lives over on the other side of the river in New Pretty Town, where he spends most of his time partying and drinking and not worrying about life and just having fun. And so one day Tally decides that she's going to sneak over to New Pretty Town and see Paris because she misses him a ton. And so when she sneaks over there, she finds a party that he's at, and everyone is really, really dressy, and she doesn't have the right kind of attire. She discovers this pig mask, and so she decides that she's just going to go into this, party with this pig mask on because she doesn't want to be found out that she's an ugly over in Pretty Town, because that would really get her in trouble. And so everyone is making fun of this pig in the party, and she's, just trying to find Paris, and eventually she does find Paris, and Paris doesn't react the way that she wants him to. He's like, "What are you doing here? You can't be here. You're gonna get in trouble. You have to go back to where you belong and don't come back here because you need to get this surgery," because he's afraid that if she does anything that will get her in trouble, she won't be allowed to have this surgery. And she's kind of disappointed, because she wanted to see her best friend and for him to be excited to see her, but he's like, "I'll be excited after you get this surgery, then we can party it up over here in New Pretty Town." So Tally goes back to where she belongs in this Uglyville place, and she meets this girl named Shay, who is also an ugly, and they become good friends. And so one day Tally discovers that Shay doesn't want to get the surgery to make her pretty, and this is a big deal because as far as Tally knows, everybody gets this surgery, and everyone wants to get this surgery. Everyone wants to be beautiful because that is like the biggest goal in life, is to be beautiful and to have no worries in the world. And Shay's like, "I really don't want this surgery." Instead, she wants to go live in this place called the Smokes, which is basically where a lot of people go and live in the wilderness and take care of themselves and don't have this surgery. And Tally is really turned off by this idea. She just thinks that's the most disgusting thing. Why go have to fend for yourself in the wilds when you can not have a care in the world and party it up and be super duper pretty? And so Shay decides that if Tally's not going to go with her to the Smokes, she's going to go by herself. And so Tally is on her own, and she just is like, "I'm counting down the days until I get this surgery. I'm so excited." And finally the day arrives where she gets to be pretty, where she gets to go party it up in New Pretty Town with her best friend, who cares about Shay. And whenever she goes to get this surgery, she actually gets taken away by the Specials. Now the Specials are like the elite members of this Pretty Town society. I can't really describe them, but they're kind of eerie. Eventually, you're a new pretty at first, once you're 16, and then you become like a middle pretty, where you go and you live in a different part of town and, have a family and things like that. And a few people get chosen to be specials, like people who work in special circumstances. And these specials are eerie looking people. They get another surgery to where they don't necessarily look totally pretty anymore. Instead, they look really fierce. Some of them get their teeth sharpened down to look like fangs. Some of them have really eerie eyes instead of being the pretty doe-like, eyes where it's like, "I don't have a care in the world." Theirs are really fierce and angry looking, and they just have They're aggressive, eerie-looking people. And a lot of people don't even know if the special circumstance people exist because you don't see them very often at all. And so Tally actually gets taken away by a person who works in special circumstances, and so they blackmail Tally, saying, you can't get your surgery to become pretty unless you go and find Shay in the smokes. And Tally is devastated because she doesn't want to go to the smokes, she doesn't want to go find Shay, she doesn't want her surgery to be prolonged, she just wants to be pretty and not have a care in the world and hang out with Paris and party it up. And so she is like, I don't want to betray my friend, but at the same time, I'm so selfish that I want the surgery. And so she gives it a couple of days of thought, and her parents come and visit her, and they don't really understand, and Paris comes and visits her, and he doesn't really understand either, because he's like, I was your best friend before Shay was your best friend, so you promised me you'd become pretty, and who cares about the promise you made to Shay not to betray her? It's a tough decision in the life of a 16-year-old. So Tally decides that she is going to betray Shay, and she gets equipped with all of this stuff to go and travel to the smokes via this poem thing that Shay wrote out with all of these weird clues that Tally has to figure out on her own and decide what they mean. So a lot of the book is Tally traveling to the smokes to find Shay in this kind of like riddle thing, and the riddle wasn't nearly as difficult as Tally made it seem. And it just, I was expecting it to last a lot longer than it did. It was like, and then I went here, and now I'm confused. Oh, and then I went here, and now I'm a little bit confused. And now this weird thing's happening to me, but now I'm going here. It just wasn't as long and drawn out and descriptive as I was expecting it to be. Let's see, she gets to the smokes, and when she gets there, Shay is there, and she's like, oh, I'm so glad you made it! And everyone's like, yay, a new person for the smokes! And Tally discovers that she actually kind of likes it there. At first she thinks it's a little bit weird, but she meets this guy named David, who Shay is actually really crushing on. She's given this necklace, which is like a tracking device, and the special circumstance people said, activate this when you get to the smokes, and we will find the smokes because we've been searching for them forever, and we'll destroy them and take them and make them all pretty, and you'll get your pretty, surgery thing as well. And Tally discovers that she doesn't want to betray Shay. She loves living out in the smoke. She thinks it's really fun, and she's starting to fall for David. So she takes this necklace and she throws it into the fire. But she doesn't realize that throwing it into the fire actually activates it. And so people are going to the smokes, and she's like, oh no, this is crazy. So they go away, and a lot of people get kidnapped, and they get taken away to New Pretty Town, and David is escaped, and Shay gets taken to go get a surgery, and I just gave away a huge amount of plot of the book. That was a lot of spoilers. I'm gonna stop there with the spoilers because I don't want to give everything away. It has potential to be a good book series. It's an interesting concept, and there's a lot of satire and symbolism as far as the pretties go, because a lot of them are very airheaded, and they only care about their appearance and about themselves and having fun and partying and not focusing on the future. So I think that there's definitely some hidden messages there, but to be honest, I just really didn't relate to the characters well at all. I couldn't stand the main character, Tally. She felt so selfish and cruel, and she just, usually, I love reading books where I can relate to the main character and where I empathize with the main character, and I just couldn't feel that for Tally. And I didn't really connect with any of the characters in this book. I mean, they just felt very, they weren't very deep, and I couldn't really understand them. They were just very one-sided, and I don't know. It has potential to be a good book series, and it's a very interesting concept, but it went so fast. Even though it was a super long book, it just went so fast without a lot of description, and it just was too, I don't know what it is about this book. Maybe you guys know. Have you read this book, and what is it that makes it not, I mean, it's a decent book, but it's not The Hunger Games. It's not Divergent. What is it lacking? Because I can't put my finger on it. But maybe you guys have read it and have felt the same way as I do. Anyway, I think that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you all very soon. Ciao.